Hey guys, welcome to another Ballin the Boot playoff bracket breakdown. I am your host, Jace Lejeune. I'm joined by Alex Allison and Daryl Felker. Felker done a great job in gridiron football for us. We're covering a lot of high school football games in the area, and then also Grant Stafferay of Crescent City Sports Rooter Sports Media. Make sure to go and subscribe to Grant's YouTube channel, Rooter Sports Media. Does a great job of covering a lot of high school football in Louisiana. Does a great job for Crescent City Sports as well. Guys, make sure to go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com. We got a lot of cool stuff. Veteran owned website. Andy Bryson formed this in 2014. It's done a great job of helping thousands of players, whether it's through our website or magazine, and our Gridiron Football All American Bowl game. As you can tell, we've had a lot of commitments already on our website. So to check out everybody that's participating in this year's bowl game, make sure to go to gridironfootballusa.com and also buy your tickets. It's going to be on Monday, December 30th. It's going to be played at Memorial Stadium, so make sure to check it out. Guys, let's go and break down the Division Two non-select playoff bracket, which is pretty much as wide open as there is. A very competitive playoff bracket, and we're going to go and talk about the results from the first round. Franklinton having a great season. They get the first round bye. They'll take on West Feliciana after the Saints get a 50-29 win over Carroll. So it'll be Franklinton versus West Feliciana in the second round. Iota able to get a 21-0 win over Assumption, shutting out the Mustangs. Good win for Iota to move on to the next round. Lakeshore takes care of business against Rain 48-12. That sets up a pretty interesting matchup between Iota and Lakeshore in the second round of the playoffs. Iowa able to get a 48-6 win over LeBron. Iowa led by Jonathan Walker, good on football player of the week this year. And then one of the more interesting upsets here, Wasserman able to take care of business against Minden 26-11. So that will set up an Iowa Wasserman matchup in the next round. On the bomb side of the bracket, Bruley able to jump up on top. Isharay Jones was able to cover that game for Gridiron Football. If you want to read more about that game, go to gridironfootballusa.com. But Bruley able to get a 49-29 win over South Beauregard. They'll take on Franklin Parish in the next round. And then we'll talk about Jennings. Well, Jennings gets a bye, but they are playing one of the most dangerous teams in the entire bracket, Opelousas, with a statement over a good Basham football team, 47-6, to make what should set up a great matchup with one of the best games in that second round. Jennings taking on Opelousas. Talk about another interesting matchup. Northwest, the number 11 seed, defeats the Ritter 35-7. They'll take on a very explosive Blackman Green Devil offense, and their defense gets a boost of confidence with a shutout over Grant 43-0. So it's number 6 Blackman taking on number 11 Northwest in the second round. Number 7 North DeSoto, they pitched a shutout as well against Woodlawn of Shreveport, 44-0. A very explosive offense over there at North DeSoto, led by quarterback Luke Delafield. They'll take on Belt Chase. They were able to defeat North Vermilion 56-21. That will set up North DeSoto against Bell Chase. And then finally, Cecilia. It's a 50-29 win over Pearl River. Obviously, Diesel Solari doing Diesel Solari things. He had 3 touchdowns on offense, 2 interceptions on defense. Incredible effort, and that should set up a great matchup between Cecilia's explosive offense and Lutcher's bone-crushing defense. So those are your first round scores and your second round matchups. Grant, starting off with you, which of the first round scores, if any, stood out to you, and which one or two playoff matchups stand out to you the most?
None of these really results really kind of impacted me in any sort of fashion. Maybe the most striking one probably was Waspin's win over Minden.
Mm-hmm.
Minden's, was a decent squad. I didn't really expect Waspin to win this game, but Waspin did in fact, and they will have a tough matchup because Iowa, and Iowa's only loss was because an out-of-state team from the state of
Yeah.
Texas that just actually had it up. They lost against Little Cypress in high school in Texas. That's the only loss. And matter of fact, Iowa. So, I expect to go to the quarterfinals with their match against Franklin Parish, and that should be a good one. However, none of these really struck me.
Hmm.
We talked about before the stream. Like, none of these games really, all these games what we kind of predicted to happen anyway. So I mean, I guess we could talk about the second round. We can skip ahead. Daryl, Alex, you guys any other things you want to add on or?
Yeah,
No,
Alex,
I
are
mean,
there any scores that stand out to you before we talk about the second round, break out the second round matchups?
no, I mean, poor Bastrop, right?
Yeah.
Decent team, 19 seed.
Oh,
Usually, you're 19 seed.
yeah.
You're thinking, hey, maybe you can knock off the 14 seed, right? That's not that big of a PowerPoint like differential. Oh, Opelousas. Oh, yeah. So 47-6. Yeah, a lot of teams that are, I guess Cecilio Pearl River. There were no one-score games, right? There were no games that were even particularly close. Maybe
No.
Cecilio Pearl River was kind of a fun game, even that wasn't particularly close. So yeah, not really anything to talk
Well,
about here.
26-11 was your actual closest game here in this bracket. So
Even the upset wasn't a close game.
yeah, the upset wasn't a close game either. So yeah, pretty shocking there. Daryl, there's not too much that stands out to you here, right?
Yeah, no, not really. Opelousas, I mean, they had a huge win, 47-6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't personally expecting that, but I mean, like we said, Opelousas has been here before. This is kind of what they do, so I'm not surprised, but I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, it's a lot what to expect in the first round, but this also does set up some very intriguing second round matchups. So we're gonna go right into it. Franklinton having a great season. Nick Saltaraggio, awesome job with the Demons. One loss this year, and I was the jinx, of course. The one game I go and see. Actually, no, Franklinton won that game. They beat Joel Sumner. So
Yeah.
Joel Sumner's the one I jinxed this year. That was their one loss. They lost to Covington earlier this year. That was Franklinton's one loss, but still, really good football team. I don't think there's any chance here. Is there any chance for West Louisiana pulling off the upset because I got Franklinton rolling the next round?
No, Franklinton. Next
Franklinton.
game.
All right, Franklinton across
Next
the board.
game.
Next game. Now, this one should be intriguing. Iota with a veteran quarterback against Lakeshore with a dynamic rushing attack with 4 or 5 really good options in the backfield. Two well-coached football teams. Grant, you got with the edge here.
It's a very interesting matchup. Iota, they've been playing some pretty good football as of late. Iota, on one hand, they're 8-2. Their only 2 losses were against Opelousas Catholic, the very first game of the year, and then Northwest, the very last game of the year. They've been up until that point, they're playing some really good football. Lakeshore, on the other hand, the second half of the season really has not been kind to them. They started the season 5-0, but then they lost 3 out of their last 5 games, including to Franklinton, LaRondre, and then their season-ending loss. Their last game of the season, they lost against Honville, 14-28. It's kind of a toss-up this year, classic 9-8 matchup where it's kind of a toss-up. But I'm going to take Lakeshore just because they're home. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, and Brent Indes is a really good football coach, and he's had some runs like that at Catholic New Iberia. I saw Lakeshore earlier this year in the spring against Denham Springs. I was really impressed. They actually outplayed a 5A team in Denham Springs, and at that time they weren't their healthiest. Talking to Coach Indes then. Iota, Coach Alcorn does a great job with that team. Peyton Renfro is a really good quarterback for Iota. I'm with you, Grant. This is a toss-up. I like that Lakeshore's at home here, so that's where the edge is going to go towards when you got these kind of close type games, and you got to be able to run the football too. So I like Lakeshore here to advance. What about y'all guys?
Yeah, I think it's a game where you have 2 teams. They're very closely matched. I'll take Iota, but it's not like this is a toss up. I think that's very accurately said.
Yeah, Iota won their Gridiron Football with 7-on-7 tournament this year.
Yeah, I got a chance to see them there where they looked really impressive. Of course, winning that over another one of these teams that we'll talk about later in Northwest in the finals. But it's a 7-on-7 tournament, so take that with a grain of salt. But
yeah, right.
Got a little bit of chance to see them. They looked really good there. So yeah, I'll go ahead and take Iota. But I mean,
okay. What about you, Daryl?
Yeah, like you guys said, it's a toss-up. I don't have really too much knowledge about either team, either way, to really give them my vote of confidence. But from what I hear, I think I'm going to roll with Lakeshore. I mean, it's at home. As we said, when you get deeper into the playoffs, the those teams that have a really good run game where you can lean on that and kind of shorten the game and just pound away. I think that'll help them out in this matchup. So I'm going to roll with Lakeshore.
All right, Wasserman is feeling pretty good about themselves. I mean, we've seen some Cinderella teams. And we saw Opelousas. We saw Northwest as a 22nd seed make the semifinals. Can Wasserman do it, or will Iowa continue to roll?
Well, Grant is apparently not here. I think his camera bowed out for a little bit, but I guess we'll try
to be back on.
We'll try to keep going here a little bit. Soldier on without him. Wasserman's an interesting team, right? They're the one upset.
Hey guys, I'm still here. I'm still here. I just brought my computer to the opposite side of the house. I'm listening in, but I'm getting dressed right now. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to go first, or I can keep talking?
You guys, I'll go last. I'll be right back.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, sure. So, I mean, this Wasserman team pulling off the upset, and this is the one. Maybe we didn't do it quite justice. This is the one notable story from round one. They didn't just win the game; they won the game fairly handily. So I think we'll give Iowa a game. I'll still take Iowa to win the game, however, ultimately. But this is a bracket that feels wide open, and maybe Wasserman will make a run because of that. We'll have to see. But I'll take Iowa.
Yeah, I'm going to take Iowa. Colin Charles as well. Colin Charles from a really good wide receiver as well, big time prospect there. They got some talent. Jonathan Walker, Gridiron Football Player of the Week. So I'm going to go with Iowa to win this football game and advance to the next round.
Yeah, as you guys said, I'm going to roll with Iowa as well. But when we like we said, when we look at the bracket to look for a team that can kind of make that Cinderella run, I think Wasserman is that team, especially I think they were the only lower seed to win in the first round. So, I mean, we kind of have to roll with them, but I think it's a tough matchup for them. So I'm going to roll with Iowa.
All right. Grant, what do you think?
I'm going to take Iowa. Sorry about that. I'm going to take Iowa. I think they're going to win. It's kind of a chaotic moment right now. But anyway, I'm going to take Iowa to win this game. Iowa has been phenomenal offensively. I think Iowa, I think there's just going to be too much for this Wasserman team that's still trying to figure it out, at least offensively. Wasserman, offensively, they've only scored 30-plus points twice this year. One time against Tioga in a 38-24 win, and then another time they defeated Grant 41-0. But other than that, they have not scored over 30-plus points. As a matter of fact, they've only scored – the only other two times where they scored over 20-plus points was a win over Carroll in the 2015 game and a 26-6 win over Peabody. So I think offense
and also the win over Minden last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I get over Minden, of course, yeah. But I think just the offensive Iowa is going to be too much for this Wasserman team.
Yeah, I agree. They got too many weapons at Iowa. I agree. I got the Yellow Jackets advancing to the next round. Franklin Parish is actually a team I have advancing all the way to the state championship game. Desiree Ellis is a really good football player at the quarterback position. Their defense has had some ups and downs, but they can score and they can make things interesting as well. When their defense is right, they are as dangerous as any team. Brewery got a big playoff win. Congratulations, Coach Schooler. They'll take on South Beauregard. I have Franklin Parish. Anybody disagree with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Now, I wish we had it was Ice Ray that went to the Brewery game. Is that right?
It was Ice Ray that went to the Brewery game.
Yeah. Wish we had him on to get his insight. But yeah, I mean, I'll take Franklin Parish.
Yeah, I got Franklin Parish. Okay, and then the next two games. Now this bomb side of the bracket, there are some intriguing games on the bomb side of the bracket. We'll talk more about those. Jennings, the number 3 seed, Rajon Zeno, Gridiron Football All-American Bowl Game commit at the running back position. You like running backs? This will be another great one. Deshaun Ford and Opelousas. Opelousas is the defending state champions. They had a statement win over Bastrop 47-6. Are y'all rolling with Opelousas? Or y'all the defending state champs? Or y'all rolling with Jennings that had a first round bye?
I'm gonna have to go with Opelousas.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You go ahead. You go ahead first, Daryl.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna roll with Opelousas as well. Like, well, as we've talked about, when we look at the playoffs, like having that pedigree of winning and just knowing how to win in the playoffs, having that history, it means a lot. And I mean, they started off as well as you can start off with a 47-6 win. So I have faith in them. I have faith in Opelousas.
All right, Opelousas. Grant, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Opelousas in this one. This is a game I mentioned in our first time we met up for our playoff breakdowns and everything. I said that the Opelousas was going to beat Jenny's in the second round. I think just overall Opelousas is the better team. I know this is seeding differential, but sometimes you got to look past the seedies, and sometimes you got to look past the results. I think Jenny's is.
Well,
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like we lost Grant there. Yeah, so I got Opelousas as well. Jennings is a really good football team, but Opelousas, you return Zacchaeus Malvo at quarterback. You return Deshaun Ford at running back. I like that backfield. That was a statement win for Bastrop. Jennings is a good football team. They just got a bad matchup in the second round.
Neither of these teams have lost since the second week of October.
Yeah.
So these are two teams that are really like on a great stretch. The argument for Opelousas and the reason why Grant feels really confident about them is the battle-tested nature of them.
Yep.
Right. So Jennings only has one loss all season. It's to Iowa, actually.
Yeah.
We've talked about before. Opelousas' losses are to teams that we've talked about already this week: Turlings, Ash, and Zachary. And I think Grant talked about this before. There's a reason why the seeding doesn't quite match the resume. They didn't get blown out in those games either.
No.
Yeah, I'll take Opelousas to win the game. That's a scary team. That's a very scary team.
Yeah, so it was like all of us are going for Opelousas there to continue their run for perhaps a repeat of a state championship. Yeah. And we're going to go to another very intriguing game: Northwest against Plaquemine. Northwest has a really good playoff run last year, and despite their great run last year, they're perhaps even better this year than they were last year. Kevon Johnson adding him to St. Edmund transfer has really helped as well. Thibodeau, the defensive end's a really good player. They got some players in Plaquemine. Their offense is really good. I mean, Nico Victorian at the quarterback position, Tyrese Mosby at the running back position, John Walker. They got stars at quarterback, running back, and receiver. They can score a lot of points. Plaquemine has a lot of talent. Plaquemine has actually – fun fact for y'all, Plaquemine has the most current NFL players from any Louisiana high school football team. So it's the Plaquemine Green Devils have the most current NFL players. So always a lot of talent down there in Plaquemine. Should be a great matchup. I would suggest one of her interns go cover that game. That'll be a really good Plaquemine and Northwest. Who y'all have rolling and advancing out of this matchup?
So first off, it's actually the game that I am currently looking at potentially going to, but no. Because I also made a very bold claim last week about Plaquemine, one of these teams. And I'll go ahead and stick to it. I'll take Plaquemine to win the game. We'll reassess things when we get to the quarterfinals if we do get Plaquemine versus potentially Opelousas. But I'll go ahead and take Plaquemine to win the game. This is going to be really interesting, though. Absolutely, this is going to be a very exciting game.
I tell you what, I'm gonna pick Northwest. I'm going to pick Northwest at the upset because Northwest has been in these playoff runs. They know what it takes to play in these playoffs, and they can run the football, and they can play good defense. If you don't have to shut down this Plaquemine offense, but if you slow them down enough, you can move the ball on this Plaquemine defense. So I'm going to roll with the upset here. I'm going to take the Northwest advance quarterfinals, and that can set up an Opelousas quarterfinal matchup between Opelousas and Northwest. Daryl, who you have?
I'm gonna roll with. I saw Plaquemine. It was way back in week 1, and they were going up against Zachary, which was a tough matchup for them. It was at Zachary to start the season off, and I didn't see much in that game. But over the course of the season, I've heard a lot of good things. I've seen a lot of good things. And at home, I feel like I want to go with Plaquemine. I might regret it, but I feel like I want to go with Nico Victorian and Plaquemine.
All right, Grant. So we got 2 going for Plaquemine. We got 1 going for, one for going Northwest. Who you're rolling with?
I'm going to go with Northwest. I'm going to stick with my pick from our first playoff breakdown. I think Plaquemine's a fantastic team. However, Northwest has been I think, well, they both were in the playoffs last year, but I think Northwest knows what it takes to go deep in the playoffs. They're actually better than they were last year, and they also probably have a better running back than they did last year. Javon Reese is a hell of a running back, but Kevon Johnson is the truth, man, and he's a really good player. We're both familiar with him, Jace, from his time at St. Edmunds, and it's become very clear that this Northwest team will definitely make a deep run. And I really think that, they have, if they do win this game, they'll have a quarterfinal matchup between Opelousas. So it'll be a battle of 2 Opelousas schools, which would be very cool for that community.
That really would be. The whole city Opelousas will be there to see that matchup. That'll be awesome to see. The last 2 playoff matchups, so we got North DeSoto and Belle Chase. Belle Chase is a team not to sleep on. I know North DeSoto has got a very explosive offense. When you have Dennis Dunley in that team as a head coach, and you have Luke Delafield at quarterback, they can score a lot of points. Grant, who you rolling with?
What game was this? I'm sorry, the second.
North DeSoto and Belle Chase.
Here we go. Yeah, I'm gonna have to roll with Lutcher in this game. I think Lutcher's as great as the Silly's offense has been.
North DeSoto, Belle Chase.
What happened?
North DeSoto, Belle Chase.
I'm tripping. Yeah, guys. Sorry, I've been all over the place. Like I brought my computer halfway across the house. That's why you guys can. And I got bad Wi-Fi. It's just some parts of the house, so like it was kind of weird. But anyway, yeah.
You're right.
DeSoto is going to be.
I will also be taking Lutcher to win the North DeSoto Bell Chest. I think that's accurate.
Let's get ahead. Let's jump the shark here and pick the next game. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to pick North DeSoto to beat Belle Chase. Belle Chase, later in the season when they started going against some really good opponents, they barely did anything. They got destroyed by Shaw 54-7. They got destroyed by St. Charles Catholic. This Belle Chase team shown that it was very vulnerable. And you're going against a North DeSoto team that has gone far in the playoffs before the last few years. Last year, they're in the semifinals. The year before that, they're in the state championship. I expect North DeSoto to win this game. And also, you got to factor in the travel as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's a good point. Luke Delafield, this offense, they're going to be tough, hard to beat, and compete against. So, with it being at North DeSoto give me the Griffins to advance to the next round. And North DeSoto's been there. They've been in the state championship when Luke Delafield was a freshman. Now he's a junior. So they've been there before. They made deep runs, and they won't get back to the Dome. They lost to Opelousas to get to the Dome. So I'm gonna roll with North DeSoto.
Give me North DeSoto to win. Although I think it's interesting how this wasn't what happened, but it's sort of a Freudian slip of it sort of feels like whoever wins this game probably won't be making it past the quarterfinals. But we'll talk about that more with Letcher in just a second. But yeah, I'll take North DeSoto.
Daryl, who you have North DeSoto as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with North DeSoto as well.
Okay, absolutely. And then I know Grant jumped the gun a little bit for the last one, but I don't blame him because that is an intriguing matchup on paper with Cecilia's offense. Remember, Cecilia made a state championship game last year, so they're not your ordinary 18 seed, kind of like Opelousas. They're seeding. Just don't look past it. They are really good, but they're playing against a defense like they haven't seen since Central. And that is the Letcher Bulldogs. But at the same time, Letcher's defense hasn't faced an offense with the weapons like Cecilia. So Letcher is one of the favorites to win a state championship, perhaps 2 and 3 years. I know Grant already talked about who he has as going forward. But Grant, further explain why you got Letcher.
The Cecilia game?
Yeah.
I just said it's just because the Letcher's defense is I was about to get into it, then I realized I just jumped the shark. But yeah, Letcher's defense, I think it's gonna be too much for Cecilia team. Letcher, they're just so strong up front. I just don't know, and really, and and the reason why I picked Opelousas to beat Cecilia last year's state championship, it was just Cecilia. I don't know how Cecilia's gonna handle the sides up front, and Letcher's got good sides up front. They're very physical. I mean, that's what you expect from these teams from the River Parishes. I think Letcher will be too much for Cecilia. I think this game would be very interesting early on, but I think if Cecilia could get their offense going against this Letcher defense, they have a shot to win. But Letcher's defense at the moment is really strong. And then also, and I think really where Cecilia has a great chance of being Letcher is if they can slow down Letcher's offense, because I think Cecilia's offense is more high powered than Letcher's offense. However, it's a matter of can Cecilia do enough offensively to beat Letcher? Because I think Cecilia would do enough defensively to slow down Letcher's offense. It's a matter of can they get past Letcher's defense.
Right. And I have Letcher as well. Letcher was actually my pick to win the state championship.
Yeah. I think it was all of our picks to win the state championship.
Yeah, I believe so.
So it's a very interesting unit versus unit matchup. Cecilia's offense versus Letcher's defense. There's some appeal to watch this game just because of that. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, Letcher's a little bit too. I do feel a little bit bad for Cecilia, right? You drop them somewhere random on the other side of the bracket. Maybe they do something. Maybe you could predict them to go a little bit farther, right? But it's tough when you draw this matchup in round 2. So yeah, I will take Letcher.
Yeah, I just like Letcher's defense, and really looking at it as well. Daryl was at the game with me. You're covering for Gridiron. I was calling the game for VSN. Letcher's defense is really good too. It's hard to move the ball against them. I mean, E.D. White's a good team. It was hard for them to score points in that football game, but Letcher has some X factor in Trent Cheney too offensively, and Zach Jenkins. He's just a winner that you want at the quarterback position. But Daryl, go ahead and talk about this game as well.
Yeah, this is actually one of the games that I was considering going to this week just because Letcher, they looked super dominant, and I mean their defense was off the charts. But Cecilia, I feel like they have that kind of offense where, like you said, they're high powered enough to give them a shot. So I'm still going to roll with Letcher to win in the end, but I do think that Cecilia will be able to put on a show. I feel like it'll either be a close game where Cecilia is able to really move the ball and put up some points, or the Letcher defense will just be too much completely and they'll win by a large margin.
Well, guys, that's our Division II non-select playoff breakdown. You want more of our playoff breakdowns, make sure to go to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our Gridiron Football YouTube channel, and we'll have all of our bracket breakdowns on there as well for Ball in the Boot. Appreciate Grant Sachere for coming on for Crescent City Sports. Make sure to follow his work at CrescentCitySports.com. Make sure to follow our work at GridironFootballUSA.com as well. You can catch up not only my work, but also Daryl Felker and Allison's as well. And guys, that's been another playoff bracket breakdown here for Ballin in the Boot.